Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. I'm George,
Tim.
Gary.
Walls.
and you might hear a siren outside. We picked the perfect time to kick this podcast off. We're coming from Calling All
We're on
Heroes.
fire, baby.
Yeah, we are. Coming from Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. Calling All Heroes Comics at 50 Stately Street, Wally Ford, West Virginia. And Tim's back.
I am.
We're glad to have him back.
Excited to be here.
It's good stuff, yeah. So Tim has rejoined us. We have some questions today from Twitter, and that's
Walls?
I guess where we're going to start.
You got it pulled up there?
Yes, I do. I like the first one. How many comics are you each reading a month?
Wow, that's a good question.
Well, what titles are you reading each month, I guess?
Yeah.
We all go like 7, 6, 5, 3.
You know, I before I opened a comic store, I wasn't reading any. So for about 5 or 6 years, but you know, it's obviously easier because I don't have to buy a copy of everything I'm reading. But I probably 20, I guess. Paper Girls is top of my list. You guys might not have known that.
It is your favorite.
Kind of the genesis of the comic books.
It's
You know,
a
a little off
prog
the
rock
beat,
comic
little
book.
yeah, a little off the beaten path, and not everybody likes it. But the people that do think it's the greatest thing ever. That Darth Vader, I'm reading that. The new Spectacular Spider-Man book, Amazing Spider-Man now.
I agree with you. That Spectacular is pretty good.
Yeah, I read that Sherlock Frankenstein by Jeff Lemire. I thought that was cool. Let's see. Oh, Old Man Logan is like a must read. I don't want to steal them all though. I could name
Well, that's
a bunch
all
more.
4 of us on that one.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
down with that.
Yeah.
I would say I probably buy and read between 15 to 20 books a month, and that's on a rotating basis because some stuff's, just a limited series, just like that Corbin series. It's
Yeah.
over now. It's over now. But, I'm with George on the Old Man Logan, definitely, and the Spidey. But it's crazy, like, the amount of DC versus Marvel that I get now. I don't get hardly any Marvel at all. It just has to be a certain thing. Like I still get Hulk. I did start picking up on Hulk again. They're totally awesome just because I wanted to see where that whole storyline that they're working on now is kind of working out. So
Yeah.
some independent stuff. Kramer's got me in on some other things I've picked up on. Some different artists. I don't want to segue into one of the next questions, but I follow a lot of artists around. So.
Sure.
But
That's been my whole life of comics, really.
and I do. Chip's gonna smack me around for this one, but I do get Superman
The chips.
from DC because I like Gleason. I like Gleason's art and I like his writing, and I think he's doing a good job on it right now. But when Gleason leaves, I'll probably leave because it's like really. I mean, how many times can you tell a story about Superman saving Lois Lane? Come on.
Well, apparently
A
for
lot.
70 years so far.
A lot.
But you,
So,
you and I tend to follow artists, though.
yeah.
That's I mean,
So,
I know
that's jumping into that, but I do follow certain people around, and I love Old Man Logan right now, and I'm seriously probably going to take a good look at that Old Man Hawkeye. I think that looks pretty cool. Never bought a Hawkeye book ever, based on why should I, but I'll give it a try, and if I don't like it after the first issue, guess what? I won't buy the rest of them.
And he was cool in that Old Man Logan. Like I got the trade after the original issues came out. He was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised it's taken this long
Yeah.
for it to come back around.
Mm-hmm.
So how about you there, Skippy?
Probably 8 to 10 titles. And a long time ago, I quit being a completist. So not only do I follow artists, but I'll go through previews, and thank goodness for the internet. You can see people's art. You can go. They'll give like a 2-page preview, and I'm like, this looks interesting enough. And then you go to the person's website, and you're like, I like this art. I would love to see what he's going to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'm really coming in and getting out, whether it be artists, characters, or whatever. Other than the Hulk that I've done for 40 years, I'm following whatever looks interesting. Just sometimes, obviously, if Eric Powell, everything he puts out, I don't buy. It depends on what he's doing.
Okay.
Whether he's writing or whether he's editing or publishing, it doesn't mean I'm going to get it, and I haven't. So I'll just check each book, the whole previews, each book, each artist, and get turned on to new things all the time. And whenever it comes down to, like Old Man Logan, probably when Diodato stops, we'll check out the next issue, and if it ain't there, I'm out. And that's the way I've been for a long time.
Let me ask you this: do you think that because you're always kind of looking for the next different thing, something new, something you haven't seen before? I mean, by definition of that, you're probably regularly reading things that are new. Has any of that, do you think, influenced your work over the last 5 years?
Everything does.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that there'd be a difference in your work had you not been doing that? Had you just stuck to Hulk and let's just say said washed your hands of the rest of it, just went with Hulk for the last 5 years as opposed to all the other little things?
Well, I think Paraphrenic has been influenced heavily by the '80s alternative. Daniel Klaus, Kaz, Richard Sala, a lot of those, and then the underground from Robert Crumb to Spain Rodriguez and all those. I think that's more influenced by that than anything. And I tend to read books that are a little bit more offbeat now, as opposed to going with the big super crossovers, because I just don't have any interest in it anymore. As you said, you went to the well too many times. And
How many times can you do that?
you know, people are dying and they shouldn't be dying. And as I've always said, don't kill anybody. If you do, they got to stay dead. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Well,
And it never happens. So you just move on.
Question about the Eric Powell thing you were talking about. You don't buy all of his stuff. Did you get the disappointingly 3D issue?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Man, I was so let down by that. I was
Absolutely.
like, really? I mean, I even dug out the glasses and looked at it, because I was like, I have a pair. Doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just like, what is going on? I just like,
Yeah, he's one of those artists and stuff where you turn a page sometimes and you're like, wow. I mean, just absolutely wow.
right,
Stunning.
right, yeah.
And that looked like it took him 5 minutes to draw the
It's
whole.
very disappointing.
Ouch.
I mean, I like the rest of. I like the rest of the storyline and everything.
Well, the one right before it, I think,
Yeah.
where he was strapped with the other guy on top of that whatever creature and stuff.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, spectacular. That was the one about the bear.
Right.
Yeah, that was spectacular.
Walls, what about you, buddy?
I probably, honestly, I think read the least amount of titles per month. I've always been a back issue guy, an old timey collector, but I do read titles. Of course, Spawn, I say it enough. I really enjoy it and look forward to that book. I'm obviously really pleased with the Venom stuff. You know, I like Bagley doing Venom. I like the character. I've always liked the character, and that seems to be going in the right direction. So I do that. I'm hanging on to Doctor Strange. I loved it. I loved Bacala's work on it, and I love the storyline too. Right, the initial phase of the 20 books of Doctor Strange was really interesting. It was very well done. Very, very nice story, and I'll see how that goes, because I'm not really kicked off about the art team right now.
Well, it's funny you said that, mostly back issues, and I think that kind of goes to the character too of our podcast in general. I think there's a million out there that are going to sit there and just painstakingly review every new book that came out this week, and that's fine. Some people want to do that, but I think we tend to be more of the back issue stuff, and then taking that experience and putting it on some of the select stuff that we like.
Right.
Probably my favorite love though is the Monsters Unleashed series. I don't know how long it's going to last, because I've actually looked at the print runs and things on that. I mean, the number one actually when it came out was like the sixth highest sold book from the original series, the 5-part series before it went on to its new freestanding series. But I really like that because it just throws back to all those old monsters, which has always been my first wheelhouse and my original wheelhouse, and I loved that. I appreciated that whole 5-issue series, and I like the new series because I really like Bunn's writing. Everything that I've seen to me that he's been on, I really like what he does, and it's been really cool. And of course, when the last page in the book is Fin Fang Foom. Well, there you have it.
That's your jam.
I'll move on to the next
That's your
issue.
jam, yeah.
I don't know if it'll last forever, but I've really enjoyed it because it has been well written and it's been well drawn. There's been a couple different artists on it, and they haven't been disappointing. There's some splash pages in the most recent issue. I'm like, it's really, like 2-page spreads that are really cool looking. So I'm pleased.
Well, I think when you're a completist, as I was referring to, it becomes laborious. You stop having fun.
It's more of a job than a hobby.
Right. It's like I gotta get them all. Get them all, and then you go through the good and the bad. But there's more. When there's more bad than good, and you just feel. I mean, I have that sensation when I pick up a comic book and I look through it, and I'm like, it's either a little on the plus side or on the negative side. If it's on the negative side, it goes back on the shelf.
It's like the Coliseum. You're just standing there waiting to go.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna go.
Exactly, and that's what comic books are. There's too many books out there. You need to enjoy the ones that you.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah,
agree.
it's fun finding it. It's hard for me to find something that I'm not familiar with, but it does happen. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you don't realize how much is out there, and there's probably some. underground things or some weird offshoots that I missed. But it's really fun for me to dig through an old box and maybe find an old memory, or go, oh, I never picked that up. Let me look at that. And you come
Yeah.
to find out. And my tastes have changed a little bit over the years. There are certain artists that I truly love, and we've discussed them at length on this podcast. But I've really softened on certain things in different artists too. I go back to them like, I didn't really care for this guy's work, and I'll see something and go, I wonder why. It's one or the other. Sometimes I go, nah, this is why I never bought this book or cared for that much. But sometimes I'll see something going, wow, I can't believe that. Maybe I've just changed a little bit. I really like that. And which is fun because it'll give me an opportunity to dig up other, older books, maybe by that particular artist or writer or whatever, and and redo that or reflect back on that.
Yeah. Well, it's another cool thing about it, and not that this is an original thought to me, I'm sure a lot of people thought it, but what else is there that you can be into, like on a hobby that came out every month, that you can go back, like the very idea of being able to flip through there, it's one of those hobbies where you don't necessarily have to buy anything to get the best part of that hobby. Like you said, you're looking for a memory.
Yeah.
You slide that book out and you see it,
Yeah.
you might not even need to own it, but you got
Oh,
your
I-
money's worth when
yeah,
you saw it.
I might look at it and smile, open it up and look at it, and I look, depending upon condition, price, whatever. I might say, what, I really need to add that.
Yeah.
Or it was just really cool to take a gander
Yeah.
back and look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, is a Marvel value stamp in there?
And because once every single month, it's not like, well, I went and saw this.
No.
I saw this movie, for example, or
Yeah.
this or that. It's like you see that and it's instant. And that book came out 12 times that year when you were 14 or 20 or whatever. And that's really really cool thing.
That's just like looking through like that stack of stuff you got ahead, like Turok and Magnus and all those old,
Yeah.
Dell comics and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like, they got the they got the painted cover on there, and
Yeah.
it's like, man, that is a cool cover. And it might look like the dog read it, but it's like, that's really cool. That'd be neat just to hang up on the wall, because you're obviously not going to read it for its content, because it looks like,
It looks like the same guy drew all those books,
Yeah.
but those painted covers are
pretty
killer.
much. Yeah.
No matter what condition.
Yeah, even
they're
like
in.
Ripley's Believe It or Not, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff is, it's like, man, that's a
Those
cool
covers
cover.
are all really neat.
And that's
Boris
like
Karloff.
that's
Yeah.
like, that's
Okay.
like a childhood.
Twilight Zone, Outer Limits.
It's
those
like a childhood
Soul
thing for
Horror.
me, because like my Uncle Mike had like a big stack of books from the early '60s, and they were a lot of Dell. I don't know. Hyman must have had like the Dell Market cornered for comics, because
The
there's like
Dell outlet.
Where do there's that
Dell outlet.
Hyman is synonymous for Dell
The
comics.
hot spot.
Yeah, Dell, little Lulu.
The Dell outlet. When you roll into Hyman, there's a sign that
Yeah.
says "Home of the Dell
Yeah.
Outlet."
Not anyway connected with the Dell Fest.
Yeah.
Somebody
Jim
spray-
Reese, curator.
Yeah.
Somebody spray paints Turok rules. On
Yeah,
the side of
exactly.
the building.
Magnus or go home. But
An act of defiance.
I love those books, man. I love them, and he still has them. Every once in a while, I'll get them out. Of course, a couple of them may or may not have the Tim Lease graffiti in them.
I used to compare those to the old 50s, the
Phone
50s,
Yeah.
50s sci-fi posters. It's like, oh, that poster's awesome, and you go
Yeah.
see the movie and it's crap. The difference is when you left the movie, you didn't get to keep the poster.
It's
Those
crap. Crap.
With those covers, Data Carrier. But no, it's Mike Myers.
Yeah.
It's crap. But when you leave the theater, you don't get to keep the poster. But with a comic, the cover was worth the money. Like
Yeah.
even if you got the comic and it was crappy, which it most
Go out
of
and
the time
find
was.
these Dell comics. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm the odd
Guarantee
man
they
out
came
here.
from Hyman.
Because you speak of movies. Movies, the superhero, it doesn't matter who puts them out, to me, are not a requirement for a comic book reader.
It's just
Sure,
a
oh, I
bunch of
agree.
brothers.
But a lot of people think that way.
Yeah.
And, as you were talking
You
about
didn't go
your-
see the movie?
Yeah, you guys joke about it all the time, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything when I don't go see a Marvel movie or a DC movie.
I got the
Sure.
movie
I mean,
in my head when I'm reading the
I
book.
I'm good. Yeah, these things right here behind us, that's my movie.
Oh, I agree with that. I think that it came to me, and I would have assumed even more so for you guys than me. But I just remember thinking, like when I was a kid and they didn't have any of that stuff out,
Oh, yeah.
it was more like, man, like I almost owe it to go see this
Sure.
because I've wanted to see it my whole life, and you
Yeah.
guys had a longer period of not getting to see that
Yeah,
stuff.
it was
I-
it was a drought for many
Yeah.
years.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't so much that it's trying to replace it or it's required viewing. It just as much as, man, okay, I couldn't wait. Now it's here.
When
Now
Iron,
that the
when Iron Man
technology's
came
come.
out, I walked out of the theater and went, "This could be the beginning
Yeah.
of a wonderful thing."
Yeah.
That's all. I just
No
I
lie.
walked out with a smile going,
Yep.
because it was so well done too. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, wow, this could be really cool,
Yeah.
and it looked, and it happened.
Nailed it.
That
Yeah.
all said, I'm not planning on going up to see Justice League because it looks like a 2-hour headache video game to me. And I know that's I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying that's That's where I'm at. There's nothing about any of the trailers that pique my interest at all.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to say is for me, the movies are not a requirement for me at all. Like I said, you guys talk about the new Thor you just said just came out.
Yeah.
Where it's spectacular. I will go see it. But if I didn't, it's not like if I miss a comic book or an issue and stuff, I'm freaking.
Right,
And if
sure.
I miss a movie, it's like,
Yeah.
I'll see it eventually.
See when it comes out on the DVD.
Right.
Yeah, I'll see it, but it's not a must-have situation for me to see a
Sure.
movie.
No, I understand.
And
Could buy it on the eBay.
On the interweb.
Just look on the Book of Faces. Somebody may be talking
I'm
about it.
picking it up
The
on
book.
I'll be watching it on the interweb. I can't say that without having a list. We're gonna catch that on the interweb. It's gonna be awesome.
I like it.
Walls, we got another question there, sir.
Yes, sir. As my phone shuts off.
Well, I want to touch on something you guys talked about last week. I did.
Okay.
I did comment on it on the book, but you're talking about when everybody, all the big heavy hitters went to Image
Mhm.
Yeah.
back in the day, and you kind of said that Marvel was kind of left in a lurch and they didn't have any Image-like work at the time. But I think Bagley, he like you
Oh,
say,
yeah.
aped.
Yeah.
He McFarlane.
I think they probably asked him to do
Yeah,
that,
he
you know.
McFarlane Spidey up pretty good,
Yes.
with the web and all that stuff,
Yeah.
drawing the trademark webs. I think Bagley hung on to that for a good run. For a
I
while.
think he was closer to Eric Larson than he was to McFarlane. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's a much cleaner, more cartoony
Right,
artist.
right. But I'm saying like the McFarlane started with the webs and all that stuff. With
And
the
Larson
highly
wasn't that
detailed-
much of
Right.
a departure from
Yeah.
McFarlane. I mean, it's sort if you look at those issues, and I go back and look at them from time to time, they're you can see
It's a
you know,
fine
they're,
line.
they're all three are different,
It's
but
a fine line.
it just sort of coasts along though. I mean,
But
It
as
was
for the
like
rest of the
McFarlane
Marvel-
Light.
Yeah. There
Is
you
what I.
go. Yeah.
But
McFarlane
It was
2.0.
McFarlane
Yeah.
Light. And I know now after all the talk before this, I hate / love to go to a Genesis reference, but it's like McFarlane's Genesis and Eric Larson's Mike and the Mechanics. It's Genesis Light.
Oh, yeah.
It's a step down,
Right.
but it's still cool.
Well, I'm just surprised because Image was very successful.
Yeah.
All their artists were successful at Marvel, then they go into Image, highly successful. I'm just surprised Marvel didn't step in and say, hey, somebody
need
needs
some
to-
guys like
somebody-
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody needs to draw like this,
Yeah.
and they didn't.
Well,
Right.
do you think Stephen
They
Platt
didn't at all.
doing Moonlight and Moon Knight? How long was it after McFarlane and those guys left?
It wasn't long.
no.
Because his stuff,
Yeah.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
but
McFarlane the first time I saw
guess where he went for after that brief stint. Poof, he went right-
Yeah.
they went.
Yeah, where is
you're
he
more
now?
like us. Come over. I mean, because and I'll be honest with you, the Prophet was somewhat disappointing. There were a couple issues that were pretty cool. I thought he had real promise. You could see it was rough, and I think everybody liked it. I mean, when you
Yeah.
saw it, it was like, oh, that's really cool. Travis Charest was similar
Oh yeah.
to that
Yeah.
too. But I don't know what happened. Those guys just sort of
I think
see
that
anything
what might have happened there was that Marvel's probably a very disciplined and controlled environment where if you're an artist like Stephen Platt, for example, he does Moon Knight, there are other writers and editors and people above him that, for better or worse, are making some decisions on that to package it the best way they can. And when you get over to Image, sure, McFarlane, those guys, and Eric Larson and Valentino, those guys had a lot of experience. But when you get a younger guy over there that maybe doesn't have a lot of experience in the business but is a great artist, then he's left to also get to write his stuff and decide, like, final take on it. It becomes very one-dimensional.
Well, I
I
guess
think
I
that
like
happened
to-
a lot.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from Marvel. Maybe they just decided, the hell with these guys.
Yeah.
We're not going to draw anything like them.
We're gonna
Because
still-
Marvel still had the writers,
We're gonna still
Which-
keep doing what
right.
we're doing.
Yeah.
which, that's the call for what it is. Image did not have the writers.
No,
they had a
they
lot of
didn't.
artists. A lot of those books don't read well. at
No,
all.
they
And
don't.
were accused of being pin-up books, and in the beginning, and everything was, and if you look at all the characters and stuff, they're all rip-offs of X-Men.
Yeah, pretty near.
I like Dale
Was
Keown, but
it
man,
Bloodstrike or
that
some of
first
those?
issue, I remember being pissed off whenever I read it. Like, it took 10
Is that
seconds
the one
to read
I
that
saw?
book.
Yeah. Not only, and you waited for it because Keown was hot.
I was listening to him
Yeah.
when you were
Yeah.
talking.
Sorry.
We threw,
No,
we
it
threw
was,
a pit of disappointment.
was it Fraga doing Bloodstrike or something?
Yeah,
I mean, but
Bloodstrike.
all those characters were just, it was the X-Men.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just call for what it is.
Well, and I said it
Yeah, there
before.
was a Wolverine character,
Liefeld
yeah.
pitched.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I said it before. Liefeld pitched a 12-issue treatment for Captain America, and when Marvel turned it down, he just turned around and called it whatever, Captain USA or something. I read it in Wizard. He said we just took the exact same plot and just laid
Right.
it over to this character. It's like, how original is your character if you can do that?
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
Hit me.
Hit me. Hit me.
No, I was gonna say, just when they asked something about the movies there, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if Steve Martin's in a movie, I go see it. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter what the genre is, doesn't matter, I'm gonna go see what he's in.
Here's an interesting question.
All right.
With Christmas around the corner, Thanksgiving, is there any more movies you're looking forward to? Probably off the comic talk a bit, but still a question. Is there? Well, I mean, Thor's coming. I mean, I would consider this now the holiday
Yeah, it's
season.
it's after it's after Halloween, so
Yeah.
everybody's got their Christmas. That Christmas stuff was out like a month ago. So unfortunately, hey, look out!
I was taking it, when I read that, I was thinking more like tradition myself. Like, my
Okay.
first thought was, well, Steve Martin, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, that has to happen.
Right.
Oh, I
know.
see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I mean, if that, maybe I just interpreted it that way. Maybe
Well,
Well,
they
it says,
make
it says
some up.
looking forward to, but I
Great.
mean, I get what you're saying too, because I think down those lines. too.
Obviously, Christmas vacation. If you're going to go there, I'm gonna, shitter's full. I gotta have it. You're welcome, America.
That's the catchphrase.
I can't help it.
Gotta have it.
No longer PG. The shitter is full. I love
Will
it.
you stop? Come on, you didn't want to say it. Look out!
Whoa, whoa, what time is it?
That's the
That's a warning
that's the little
from-
ticker tape
that's a-
buzzer that tells me you guys are about to cut the viewership in half.
Was that the 8-second warning?
Yeah, the
Someone's
producer's
30
gonna come
seconds.
out here and go
30
like
seconds.
this. Hey,
We're sorry,
stop.
Jim. We
Take it
apologize.
back. Take it back.
Take two. What?
I-
Question kind of went down there.
I used to try to watch the like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer show. Man, I can't get through that at all.
I watch The Nightmare Before Christmas probably every time.
Yeah,
so
I'll watch that.
I have a lot of the little ornaments we put up on our mail piece and stuff
We
like that.
decorate the tree to the original Grinch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, every year.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, the HBO cut. That
We're
was
not
from-
birds, we're a jug band.
That's it. I had a picture in December. I usually make my default picture on social media Chuck, like when he's coming out of the music store. I had a friend of mine, Monica Swinney, sent me a message, said, "Hey George, did you get a haircut?" But yeah, man, the HBO cut of that, they put the Muppets in, like Kermit was in it in
Yeah.
the beginning and end, but you can't get that copy unless you have like the original HBO VHS. And no, that's my jam.
All right.
It's a cool little show. It's neat.
I just like the original Grinch because of Karloff,
Oh, when he's
and Chuck
you know,
Jones.
when his fingers are he's
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
and these little fingers.
Yeah,
are all
it's
in.
great, man. It's perfect.
Mine's Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Good.
Always. And
Good grief.
Thanksgiving or Christmas. Both
Yeah.
of them. Love the music, love everything.
Yeah.
I watch The Christmas Carol every year too. The 1951 Alistar Sim.
I watched It's a Wonderful Life too because she's a peach. I love that one.
It's a Wonderful
Gotta watch
Life.
that.
Yeah. For God's sakes, just kiss her.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Youth, it's wasted on the young.
I'm getting Tim a shirt this Christmas, and on the front it's gonna say she's a peach, and on the back it's gonna say Shitter's full. That's gonna be that's his gift.
For the win. For the win.
Girl. On through the mailbag.
Yes. Keeper of the questions. Hey, they like the black and white. I do too, actually.
Yeah.
That was I
makes
like
it
great work with the
very
video
detailed.
podcast.
Makes everything pop.
You know what's funny is I just stuck it on there because it was Halloween weekend, and I thought, oh, we'll make it kind of scary and this and that, and a bunch of people told me they liked it.
We're scary in real life too. So,
So we're just gonna go with that.
Just
Yeah.
gonna throw that out
Yeah,
It's
we'll
easier-
do a special color edition sometime.
Here's
Yeah,
here's,
you know,
here's
if
something.
you're lucky.
Here's
This way you don't
something-
see the various mustard and barbecue stains all over my shirt from whatever fast food garbage I ate on the way here.
Here's a question. Any thoughts on the abomination that was the Inhuman series?
I guess we know their thoughts.
Yeah, I bailed
Did
after
anyone
the
here
second.
read it? I looked. I think I might have looked at the first issue.
Are we talking about the TV show?
TV show.
Yeah, I think they're talking about the TV
I think they're
show.
talking about the TV show.
Oh yeah, I guess. So. Oh well, yeah. I bought.
Your voice just cracked in tragedy.
I bought the first two, and I like that is the worst.
Yeah, I made it to the
$2.99 twice. That's the worst $5.98 I've ever spent.
Wow.
in my- I
Quick
even
math.
got it in high def. What an
Yeah.
idiot! I'm like, oh, you're so stupid, Gary. Yeah.
Oh
Crap.
man,
Crap. Yeah. Carrots.
I watched
Throw up.
the first two.
I saw the first one and I was like, man, this is bad, but
Painful.
like this misplaced allegiance to anything Fantastic Four related
Yeah.
and Inhumans. And I tried to watch the second one and I fell asleep, and then when the third one came on, I started watching. I'm like, this is awful.
It was on last night.
What-
I just clicked, went by it.
What's disappointing is they're great characters.
Oh, yeah.
And as I've said before,
Yeah.
and we've talked about, they came out in the time when FF was the flagship comic book. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
Kirby,
yeah.
Kirby sent it that whole run in, all the interesting characters that were released at that time, and they were part of that. That's my disappointment is that's what you come up with. People are going to the Inhumans are, I guess, going to be looked upon maybe as like some kind of a joke. I'm like, but they were so cool and so original. They were a neat team. It was really a neat time in comic books. That storyline, was very compelling.
Yeah.
And now, people that aren't aware of that or haven't seen that, like,
Well,
what is that?
I think here's what happened. Deadpool, Luke Cage, a lot of these things, The Preacher, a lot of these that are not household names. Like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. This could have been, again, something for the Inhumans. It's like, man, I never knew, and they've been around for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, who are these guys?
Could have been
and
the
stuff.
next Guardians, yeah.
Right, yeah, the Guardians is probably the best example. How successful they can be from bringing people out of the hat. And it's like, and then you have this. It's like, well, those aren't, then people are going to be like, those characters aren't very cool.
Right.
That's how bad the TV show is.
Well, I guess they can't all be home runs, but it would have been nice.
But the thing is
Just
so
a little
far,
better.
the thing is, so far they've all been home runs. That's the
Yeah.
thing is Jessica Jones and Daredevil and Luke Cage is as good as anything I've seen from any of it. Like since it started with Iron Man.
Defenders left me waiting for the next season.
Defenders?
It turned out to be a really cool series.
Iron Fist wasn't that great, but I mean it was a masterpiece if it's set aside the Inhumans.
Oh yeah.
The Shield, I wasn't a huge fan of that show, but there are people that are, and it's still, it's successful. But yeah, the Inhumans, I often wondered if they just, maybe it had been animated, not full cartoon, but like Sin City is, and
Yeah.
that Polar Express. What if you had a Fantastic Four Inhumans movie where it was like that? It's obviously not real, but it just lended itself to being more of that cosmic
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But yeah, it
George,
was-
you could throw about any idea out there you want because it would be better. I mean, I consider you, a smart cookie, and your ideas and things are great. You could throw anything out there would be better than what they threw out there.
It was
anything.
Well, it was just hugely disappointing because I think we wanted it to be good,
Oh, I
And-
did.
And then the other thing that happened was they just from a retailer point of view, they shuttled out 2 or 3 different Inhumans regular series and mini series to bank off that, like they did with Deadpool, like they did with Doctor Strange, and then the show hit, and I had 5 or 6 people that were reserving it, and only one of them kept the reservation.
Yeah, I dropped off on that.
Yeah, a lot of people did, and it just becomes a thing where for a month or two I'm sitting on a stack of books that nobody want, and justifiably so, because those weren't that great either.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question. Do you think there are characters out there that are permanently going to reside in the sidekick or second-tier characters? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That they should never be headlined. In other words, the Inhumans are, they're on purpose in the comic books or in the backgrounds. They're not trying to come out and save the world.
Right.
They never have been.
Right.
They're not
Right.
supposed to be fighting crime
Right.
in Hell's Kitchen.
They
or
always in
on the-
conjunction with
Sure,
other superheroes.
sure.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
So sometimes when you try to force that upon them, it's like I always joke about the mini-series of the Joker back in the 90s. It's like, how can you have a comic book based upon the Joker? Maybe like a 1 or 2 issues, a
Yeah.
story.
We got
One
Azarello
shot.
story.
But how can you have an ongoing thing of a guy who just kills everybody?
Right.
You know?
Well, remember that it was Azarello that did that book where it was the guy, and I want to say his name was Snow or Frost, but he was the driver for the Joker, and he was sent to pick him up from Arkham, and it was his account of
His
24
story,
hours
Yeah,
of the Joker.
yeah. That was.
That's cool.
It was epic.
Now that's cool.
But yeah, it couldn't continue for years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it's not an ongoing. It's not. You don't need a cliffhanger. In
Well-
the next issue, he kills this many people.
anytime you start to really go in and reveal too much about the villain, you're taking away the essence of what makes him cool. Like
Right.
that's one of a million reasons why those Star Wars prequels suck so bad. I don't need to know what Darth Vader looked like when he was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't need to see him as a whiny teenager. Like you've robbed us of his mystique. But
Isn't Royals? Wasn't that
yeah,
the Inhumans?
yeah,
That's probably the worst logo I've ever seen in my life.
yeah. Followed by some of the worst art I've seen in recent memory on a major title.
Bad.
That Luke Cage Iron Fist.
Oh, that was the worst. Had
Ghost
a
Rider.
fat Albert kind of a flavor.
I
Oh.
said Ghost Rider. Tim went, oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm glad
I'm all for innovation, guys. And
Yeah.
like I said, that I like underground and alternative artists, but sometimes that's just not. Yeah.
Yeah.
birdcage material.
Oh my
Bird
goodness.
cage material.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we're usually not. I'm usually not too tough.
I went
on
there.
things, but- wow.
Bird cage material.
Hey, you missed me? I'm back now. America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to refrain from that. Save it for the end.
Why?
Yeah.
Let me do it again?
Sure.
Yeah.
As we're waiting on
Walt's digging up our other question.
Well, you know what?
He got this thrust upon him today, out of nowhere.
It's all you, man.
Like,
With
Yeah,
no,
damn
with
it,
no-
Walter,
with
leave us
no-
hanging.
With no
pressure.
glasses
Come on!
either, yeah.
Don't.
Here, well, we were sort of touching on this though. Thor got a great grade on Rotten Tomatoes. How much stock do you put in Rotten Tomatoes or reviews? I guess.
I'd like to just see it myself and make my own judgment.
Depending,
You?
I guess. Well, I think it would depend on. That's a kind of a vague way of putting that question. I would immediately take it as, if I see a good grade, does that mean that I'm more likely to go see the movie or less likely to see the movie? I think that Rotten Tomatoes is awesome because they give you two grades. One is from all the critics that have reviewed it on a scale of 1 to 100, and then one is from everybody that has seen the
Yes.
movie and voted.
Like fans. Sort of.
Yeah. So you're seeing an audience score and a critic score. Perfect example of that was Step Brothers. The critics gave it 30%, and the people that saw it gave it like 85. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going with. Chances are it's lowbrow humor. The critics have
Right.
to say it's dumb, but everybody really liked it. With Thor, I think it was 98% on the critics and 97% on the fans.
Yowza.
It'd be really hard to go there. I guess I can say I've never gone and seen a movie that Rotten Tomatoes said was amazing, and that I left there saying, "Well, that's terrible. How's everybody wrong?" Like,
Right.
they're usually pretty
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
So
I'm always leery of that because if something's supposed to be 97, 98%, everybody loves it, then I'm like, I gotta love it.
you feel the eternal pressure.
Yeah. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Dude, that's so you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
you're
love
saying,
it.
saying you're taking a couple Xanax to go to the movies.
So you're
you
basically
can
like,
zone out.
you're like, you know
I
what?
it.
I don't need this pressure. F it. I'm not even going to see it. That's great.
You're going. I'm taking you.
Well, hey, it's funny because I was in here the other day with Sam.
treat?
Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't even Sam. It was Justin. Justin came into the store. We were sitting here talking about Rotten Tomatoes because he's like, "When are you going to see the Justice League movie?" I'm like, "No, I'm not seeing it." He's like,
You
"Why?"
can't
He's like,
make me.
It looks like a 2-hour headache. It reminds me of that first Transformers movie. It all looks fake. It looks like a video game. All the catchphrases in the commercial look terrible. Like there's nothing about it that appealed to me at all. I said my guess is 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So we're having we're going to do a poll and we're going to give away a $20 gift certificate to whoever guesses the closest. But you got to guess what Rotten Tomatoes is going to give it, and you get 10 percentage points either way.
Wow.
To be
A little
considered.
leeway there.
You know what
Yeah.
I think? I think Turd Ferguson's going to win.
I gave it a 50. Justin said he gave it an 85. I'm like, so your guess is between 80 and 90 on that Justice League movie. He's like, yeah. I was like, they've got too much to lose.
Wow.
So,
We'll have to get Chip to weigh in on that because, you know,
Well,
Batman's in it, so you know Chip's going to go see it.
not to put you on the spot, but what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, and I told him, I said, I don't care if it's critics or the fans. Like, it doesn't matter. My
I'm-
guess is 50%.
I'm going low like you. I'm going to be like, you know, not anything above 60.
Yeah.
That's going to be my
I would say 65 for
Yeah.
the fact of how good Wonder Woman was.
Yeah.
No, you can't deny that.
You can't deny that Wonder Woman was great, but and Joss Whedon, I guess, came back and he's actually getting a writing credit in this. I just, no matter how clean of a rag you got, you can't polish a turd, and that movie looks rough.
Nice.
I'm sorry,
That's
movie.
a T-shirt for you, my friend.
I've never heard no matter how clean the rag is. I've always just heard that you can't polish the turd. I like no
First
matter.
time I heard that was
You know, we need to call this episode the crap issue.
Yeah.
the first time I ever heard that was in Christine. Do you remember that when the kid was fixing up Christine, the car?
Oh,
and
yeah.
The guy standing there goes, "Look at him. He's in there trying to put on. He's got a broken windshield, but he's putting on new windshield wipers. Face it, kid. You can't polish a turd." All right.
matter.
Well, these questions are really taking us on a road.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the road less traveled for that reason.
On purpose.
Go fake us to take the freeway next time.
Kramer nods his head in disgust.
Well, we've pretty much covered them all. We didn't really hit I don't know, maybe we did touch upon it, the following artist or particular artists and things like that.
Oh,
And,
yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I definitely follow artists.
Yeah.
I always have. And it's led me to dig up older books. It's neat now that, you know, things that the resources we didn't have when we were younger, but you can go back and look. I remember when I was collecting stuff on Alex Nino, I'd go and I found the site where it just listed everything, whether he did the cover, the interior work, you know, all the different issues and when they came out, things like that. It makes it, you know, oh, I didn't know he did that. You know, I can go back and see when I'm digging one day if I can find that book.
Yeah. Well, case in point, I just bought that Dead Man compilation, Kelly Jones, you know, going back and picking all
Yeah.
those up, getting all that at once. I mean, Kelly Jones, he's
Those are beautifully drawn. That's a
he's
beautifully
my
drawn
jam.
book.
He's
Yeah.
one of my people.
I know, me
follow.
too. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
But you know, I'm going looking for, you know, Micronauts, was that like his first?
Yeah,
Did his first-
52, I think. He did a splash. He was coloring or inking. I can't remember, but he did a splash page in the
Yeah, I want to go
of it.
back and
Yeah.
try to pick up some of those because I'm sure they're not like, you know, $10 books or anything. It'd be neat.
There's
to
not,
have
there's
those.
not a one in the lot.
It'd be neat to have those.
Some of the early ones, like
Now they're going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go.
Michael Golden did a lot of the covers and did the work on some of the early ones, like the one with Man, the number 7 with Man Thing.
Yeah.
That's Kelly didn't come until like issue 52.
Yeah, I knew it was
think,
later
yeah.
on.
But and then when they did the revamp, when they reignited the series, he did the.
He was
did
on
the
there
work.
for-
He was.
yeah.
He did the illustration on that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still following Jim Lee, but the new book that's coming out, I saw in previews. Man, that's not like his best stuff. Did you see
Yeah,
it?
no.
I don't even remember. It's not even epic enough for me to even remember the title.
Yeah, the Immortal Man.
Is
So
it
that's something
Immortal?
that's
No,
something different.
else. It's like a team up book. Like, I mean, how many team up books can he do? Is that his jam or what? I mean, he did X-Men. He did Wildcats. He's
Yeah.
you know, I like just like.
I'm not a team guy. Never
Yeah, I
have
like
been.
one
Yeah.
like hero kind of anti-hero Spawn. Like, well, I'm with Walls.
Yeah.
But I do follow artists, and I'm finding new artists, like, you know, like that Janin guy that's doing Batman. That guy's pretty awesome. I hope he sticks around. You know, obviously I'll follow Jeff Darrow. I could, if he draw something on a napkin, I'd probably buy it. You know.
I remember one time saying that I'm not a team guy, and they're like, "Well, you like Fantastic Four?" I said, "That's a family." That's
Yes.
Not, that's
Ah, yeah.
because they are. And
Touche.
I'm surprised that there haven't been more like I don't want to say copies or rip-offs, but I'm surprised more people haven't gone down that route because it so instantly makes the stakes higher when you're in battle. You know, at the end of the day, the Avengers for the most part are a business relationship. And you know, and I mean, the X-Men tend to be a little closer to that idea of
Yeah.
a family, but I don't know. Can you think of any other books where it had that kind of tie to it the way the FF did?
Well, that's, you know,
The
Justice
Incredibles,
League.
the Disney Incredibles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said the Justice League never made any sense to me. The Avengers never made any sense to me. Batman and Superman being in the same book doesn't make any sense to me. These people are all superpower, and Batman's riding around on his Batmobile and his Bat bike and his
Oh, you're saying
Bat shark repellent.
yeah, whatever it is and stuff. And these big cosmic beings.
This
are
is when it
coming
gets
out
ugly,
here,
folks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Freeze. I have my Bat thermal underwear on.
Oh.
Yeah, the family aspect of the Fantastic Four. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to answer the question for me, is I don't even follow. I follow artists, and I always give them the benefit of the doubt when they're going to work on a new book.
Mhm.
But maybe they're going to work on the Justice League, and I don't want to read it. You know, Frank Whiteley is someone who I follow. He doesn't do many books, and that's probably a good thing. A couple of the guys, Neil Adams, The Biz, Simon Beasley. I don't buy any of their stuff anymore. They've evolved into something that I don't care to see anymore.
Well, they've been repackaging some of Beezus stuff because he doesn't
Yeah.
come out with anything new.
But the fact is,
Yeah.
if he does, I don't buy it where it used to be everything. I have a big section that's just Simon Beasley stuff
Yeah.
in a box, and now it's like, nah.
Well, that
I got-
Just not interested.
I gotta say Corbin for sure, because even though it's not
Oh,
on
yeah.
any kind of, well, Dark Horse, it's not, you know, it's not obviously a Marvel or DC book, but for 71 years old, man, that guy is rocking.
He's knocking out
His,
the park.
and he's still
Everything he
doing
does.
stuff, and
Yeah.
and you know, because I really thought, you know, what's going to happen, and when he started doing those stories with Mike on Hellboy, those little, you know, 3 parts and 2 parts, and you know, was doing those, I'm like, wow, you know, I just couldn't believe how nice it looked. I was like, this is really cool because he's going to be discovered. I mean, he's been around forever.
Yeah, it's about
his
time.
talent is going to be discovered.
Yeah.
But ever since then, he's put out like his own, like a couple different, like the last one was an 8-issue series.
Right.
He's put out like 4-part series, 6-part series, whatever. It's really cool though, you know. So some of these younger guys, I'm like, you know, I think we're really talented, you know, that are sort of vanished. And I was like, look at Rich, man. He's, you know, he's an old cat and he's pumping them out, and they look really good. They don't. Some are. I'm going to say this. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I worship